council to order, please. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Bertani?
Here.
Councilmember Moy?
Here.
Councilmember Panduro?
Here.
Councilmember Tim?
Here.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Here.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Here.
And Mayor Price.
Here, we do have a quorum, and the invocation this evening will be led by Kevin Thomas, New Creations Ministries Community Church. Pastor, welcome aboard, sir.
I apologize, Mayor. The pastor is not on the Zoom. Looks like he's absent.
Oh, okay, thank you. Then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Tonneson, happy birthday. Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes, I will. Please join me in our pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Council reports, please. No. Mr. Vice Mayor, would you like to begin, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for everybody who's watching and who's online. Just a couple of quick things. I had the honor of attending the State of the Base last Friday with some of my colleagues, and it was a great event as always. Very dynamic speech by our commander out there, very well attended. So it was just your typical great event out of Travis. Also, I attended, along with about 4 of my other colleagues, the opening of the BMW in Fairfield. And of course, you know, minority-owned business, exactly what we need in the city of Fairfield, celebrating our diversity as always. That was another really, really nice event to be at. And really, that's about it, Mayor. The only thing I did want to say is I feel like we're kind of heading in a good trend right now. You know, with the mask mandate being lifted today or tomorrow, I should say, and you know, hopefully somewhere down the road, our students will be able to go to school without masks on. But you know, we got to do our due diligence and keep going on that. But I'm feeling pretty good about things right now. So let's just keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully things will keep going in the right direction. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Bertani, your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief. I too attended the State of the Base event at Travis Air Force Base last Friday with many of my colleagues. And I really just want to give a shout out and much accolades to Colonel Simmons and every single person on the Travis Air Force Base. They do a tremendous job, and we are better for them being here with us. And that's my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Moy, your report, please.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I am not going to repeat what everybody else has said, so I'm just going to leave it at that and say happy late St. Valentine's Day to everybody, and glad to have everybody watching. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Panduro, please, your report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just again, attended the events I've been mentioned in the past. It was my first time attending the State of the Base address, and it was just such a great morning to learn about everything Travis does and how, you know, they are just such a great partner, not only here locally, but nationwide and internationally. So it was really phenomenal to hear their stories and just to see the impact they've had, you know, on all levels. And so it was just, it was a great way to, and it was great to see everybody as well. So happy to be here and welcome all who are watching. Thank you.
Councilmember Tim, your report, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. You know, along with, you talk about a minority-owned BMW business, I had the pleasure, along with several of my colleagues who went to a lot of meetings, but I went to the soft opening of our first cannabis dispensary in the city of Fairfield, which is also minority-owned. And coming from law enforcement, it was a unique experience, to say the least. Extremely interesting on how the business is operated, all the security, just everything that goes into a business. But like I said, I took great pleasure Especially in cannabis operations, we have very few minority owners, and I know it's a point of contention all through the United States, but we have the very first one here in Fairfield. So we have several more to come, but it was quite interesting. And happy birthday, Scotty, and Mayor. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilman Tonneson, your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for all the birthday wishes. It's much appreciated. I just have a couple of things that I want to touch on that were items that we've discussed before. For a year and 2 months, I've been on council, and for a year and 2 months, I've been asking for bathrooms at Allen Witt, and I'm happy to say that they're on their way. They're going to be here, I believe, the 22nd of next month, David. So I just want to give a shout out to staff and Public Works for getting that done. The other item I want to address is the pickleball courts. A couple meetings ago, the council, and I guess I'm speaking to my colleagues now, we had given direction to have 4 tennis courts refinished and 4 tennis courts turned into pickleball courts. And that has somehow changed. So now they've changed that up to where there's like 3 courts that are going to be used for pickleball and 1 that's going to be used for futsal, and they're still going to have the 4 for pickleball, for tennis. What I'd like to do is re-agendize that, if that's what we have to do, to go the direction of what our original direction was, and that was to have the 4 tennis courts and the other 4 tennis courts be pickleball courts. There was a reason behind all this, is that we're trying to create a new event here where we need 12 courts to have these big tournaments. A lot of these pickleball tournaments, and I can see George Kennedy's online here, a lot of these pickleball tournaments will draw, 200 to 400 people in some cases. And I've gotten with Anand Patel and talked about what we can do with the hotels. Anyways, there's a lot of things that have gone on. So I guess if we have to re-agendize that and maybe give direction again, if that's what we need to do, but I guess we can talk about that at a later date, unless we have to agendize that now. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And I should like to report that I was very privileged to do all the other activities last week, but one of the highlights for me is an annual event, and it's sponsored by the Host Lions Club in Fairfield. And there were 4 high school speakers, and they are competing against students not only in California, but in Nevada. The end game there is about a $22,000 total dollar amount for scholarships. And the topic this year was, how can kindness reunite our country? And what a very appropriate subject for them to discuss. And from our young people, our teenagers, we can learn a great deal. Mr. City Manager, your report, please. First of all, are there any changes to the agenda, Mr. City Manager?
Yes, just one. Item number 17, public hearing for first reading and introduction of ordinance 2022-05 related to the hours of the One Lake Park. We need to continue that to the March 1st meeting, where it'll show up on your agenda at your next meeting as a continued public hearing. There was some changes that needed to be made to that after the public hearing notice had been published in the newspaper. So we'll continue that. So there will be no item 17 tonight.
Okay, thank you.
And then I have just one update item, as was mentioned already by Vice Mayor Vaccaro. The state guidelines have changed around COVID. So beginning tomorrow, City Hall will be back to fully open to the public. We've modified internal guidance to comply with Cal OSHA for employees as it relates to mask guidance. And then starting at the next meeting on March 1st, we'll get back to doing our hybrid option meetings, which means that for the council, we'll be back in council chambers, but we will maintain the flexibility so long as we're under pandemic for Zoom. You again tonight have a resolution on consent that allows us to continue that practice. And so that would be my recommendation, that we would go back to in-person and still provide the opportunity for Zoom for any council members or members of the public that would prefer to participate in that way. And unless there's any other direction from council, that's my report.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Manager, excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Way, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I apologize. I just wanted to second what Councilman Tonneson asked for. So we're sure that there are two of us, and I'm sure you would have done it, Mr. Mayor, to make sure that we do get that back and we realign ourselves on those pickleball courts. It is important. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that so we know to agendize it.
Thank you.
And that's a birthday present there, Scott. Happy birthday.
And Mr. City Attorney, your report, please.
I have nothing to report out tonight. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, your report, please.
I do not have anything to report tonight either.
And then we turn immediately to presentations. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Yes, presentation one, proclamation for National Cancer Prevention Month. And our presenter will be Councilmember Moy.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the National Cancer Prevention Month, February 2022, whereas nearly 1,736,000 Americans will be diagnosed with cancer this year, and more than 606,800 will die. However, research shows that up to half of all cancer cases and deaths are preventable with the knowledge and education we have today. And whereas prevention and early detection are more crucial than ever and are proven practical strategies to lower healthcare costs and extend life expectancy. And whereas by making healthy choices like maintaining a healthy weight, staying physically active, using sun protection, avoiding tobacco products, and limiting alcohol consumption can lower our risk. And whereas lung cancer still causes more than 350 deaths every day, the highest number of deaths for all types of cancer, more than breast, prostate, and pancreatic cancers combined. And whereas people who smoke are 25 times more likely to develop lung cancer than those who never smoked. And whereas by practicing self-exams, knowing your family medical history, and getting regular cancer screenings, you can help detect certain cancers early and have a better treatment outcome. And now, therefore, I, Harry T. Price, Mayor of the City of Fairfield, do hereby proclaim February 2022 as National Cancer Prevention Month in Fairfield and urge all citizens to practice healthy habits and schedule regular doctor appointments and preventative cancer screenings. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Moy. You are a survivor too, so thank you. We turn now to our second presentation. Madam Clerk, please.
Yes, Crosstown Pipeline presentation. And our presenter is Michael Heather, Assistant Public Works Director of Utilities.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Fairfield City Council members.
Good evening, Michael. Glad to have you aboard.
Thank you. Get that. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm Michael Heather, Assistant Public Works Director for the Utilities Division, City of Fairfield. The item I'm bringing before you this evening requires no action as it intended to update and commemorate a major milestone in the life of the city's water system. During the presentation video, you'll hear about completion of a major pipeline project whose completion dates back to the late 1980s. During the next couple of minutes, I'll summarize a project that has had consistent progress over the last few decades. We'll commemorate those who participated, and without going through all the names, I'll just briefly splash up those folks who had some hand or directly contributed, which includes both active and retired staff. But most importantly, I'm here to present a remarkable video produced by our own marketing and outreach folks. The Crosstown Pipeline, also known as the East-West Pipeline, is depicted by the bold blue line that originates at the intersection of Claybank and Cement Hill Road and meanders southwest towards Cordelia and Sassoon Valley. Now, water system planning for the Crosstown Pipeline began in the 1980s because at that time, there was only an existing single pipeline crossing at Sassoon Valley and into Cordelia. Failure of this single line, or worse, interruption of the ability of Waterman Treatment Plant to feed this line, was viewed as a fundamental weakness and single point of failure in the water system. Another point of concern was that as the city developed, we needed to give ourselves the ability to treat, transmit, and distribute water to populated areas in the western part of the city while running the North Bay Regional Water Treatment Plant, or NBR, which is located at the east end of the city. A final noteworthy point is that NBR is the only way to receive, treat, and transmit water from the State Water Project or the North Bay Aqueduct. As a reminder, Waterman Treatment Plant can only receive and treat water from Solano Project or Lake Berryessa. So due to the magnitude, complexity, and cost, in order to complete the project, it was phased into several segments and subsegments as depicted here. The water mains generally consisted of constructing new 36-inch on the east side and 30-inch on the west side of the city. Pre-design work for the project was mostly conducted in the early 2000s, with design work beginning in 2004. Although the project was briefly postponed in 2006 due to other facility capital improvement projects, design efforts resumed later in the decade, which estimated construction to last over a period of 5 to 7 years. So a few more tidbits of info. The project consisted of approximately 2 3/4 miles of 30-inch pipeline on the west side of the city and approximately 7 3/4 36-inch pipeline on the east side of the city. There were 17 jack and bore crossings across railroads, creeks, and other large utilities. And the project was constructed through multiple jurisdictions that included the cities of Fairfield and Sassoon City, the county of Solano, and Caltrans. Total project costs were estimated at approximately $60 million. So I'm not going to go through everybody up here, but I would like to especially acknowledge Bill Way and his team for all their efforts on producing a remarkable video, which we're about to see. They've done a great job in helping us tell the story of this key water utility milestone. I think it's also noteworthy to point out and especially acknowledge decision makers, which is you all. Some of those who have since left the city council and some of you who are still here. Collectively, you as a city council understood the value of this project and maintained the fortitude to make tough decisions, even during leaner financial times. So I'm handing control back over to the audiovisual folks. We can pause here for any questions. One brief announcement I'd like to make is that I've been asked by our city manager to submit an application to the League of California Cities for the Helen Putnam Award. So I'm working through some of the application details on that. And in order for us to submit that, I'd need to seek approval from the mayor and the city manager. Does anybody have any questions?
Any comments or questions for Michael? Well done, Michael. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We turn to our third presentation, please, Madam Clerk, if you would.
Oh, we have the video.
Mr. Mayor, we have a brief video that we want to share about the project.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
The future of cities in California is related to their water availability, and Fairfield's is extremely bright.
We needed a way to move large quantities of water across town to the Cordelia area, connecting all the system together so that we have a lot of redundancy and ability to serve the entire city from multiple sources. That's where the origin of the East-West water transmission pipeline was, that we needed a way to do that. We modeled the pipelines to determine the size that would be needed in order to get water down to the Cordelia area. between two projects that's about 10.5 to 11 miles of pipeline. It's a big project, so we couldn't build it all at once, and we had to break it up into segments.
You think about how much ground we covered and all the impacts. Every segment had a need. It was like a little small city out there working all these different trades, all these different functions.
Over time, the city built segment upon segment upon segment as the opportunity arose. Like a road was going to be repaved, put the pipeline in, then repave the road, that kind of thing. And eventually, all the segments were done.
The crosstown pipeline now has actually been aiding in additional reliability, operational flexibility that allows the city to move water in ways that it could not prior to completion of the project.
Today we have a working system that we all can be proud of, especially the citizens.
To have a secure water supply for a city like Fairfield means we can attract industries for whom that is important.
So to have this crosstown and have 2 treatment plants that can serve water to the entire city, that's huge for the safety of the community and for the customers.
The council supported us on this. It wasn't for our city council and city managers in the time, this project could have had a lot of headaches.
It's a huge benefit to this community. It's part of what public works and water utilities do. Typically, we don't want to be in the headlines. You want to make sure that service is provided at all times and people don't even think about it.
That is very impressive. And Bill Way and his crew put together that beautiful, beautiful, very informative video. We need to be very proud of that. $60 million well invested to sustain the city that we live in today. So thank you very much, all of you. And Michael, well done. We turn now to the third presentation. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Yes, Marin Clean Energy, MCE presentation. And our presenter is Sebastian Kahn with MCE.
Hello, thank you, Madam Clerk. Can you all see me okay?
Yes, we can. Welcome aboard, Sebastian.
Thank you. Let me share my screen real quick to have a brief presentation. All right, confirming that you all can see.
Yes, we can.
All right, so thank you, Madam Clerk, Mayor Price, and members of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present here tonight. My name is Sebastian Kahn, and I serve as Community Development Manager at MCE. MCE is a local public agency. We provide renewable electric generation services and customer programs to 37 communities in the Bay Area. In December 2019, the city of Fairfield voted to join MCE. And now, a little over 2 years later, we're thrilled to be enrolling Fairfield as our newest member community beginning in April. Tonight, I'll give a quick refresher on MCE and explain the enrollment timeline and what community members can expect to see from MCE over the next several weeks. It is a brief presentation tonight, but I do want to call out that one of our goals at MCE is to make our customer communications as accessible as possible. And so I'm joined by my colleague, Mariela Herrick, who will also be giving the presentation tonight in Spanish. So with that, let's dive in. Starting in April 2022, MCE will become the primary electricity provider for Fairfield homes and businesses. Fairfield residents will now have a choice when it comes to how much renewable energy they want for their home or business at competitive and stable rates. That's because beginning with their April electricity bill, all eligible Fairfield electric customers will be automatically enrolled in MCE's 60% renewable service, which is nearly twice as much renewable energy as PG&E at comparable rates. Each month, electric utility customers pay generation charges and delivery charges. Generation, put most simply, is how the power is created, and delivery is how the power travels over the grid to the customer. With the community choice aggregation model, MCE becomes the default source of generation for customers, supplying energy from clean, renewable power sources. Now, PG&E is still involved in this process. They continue to deliver the electricity from the grid to your home or business, address service outages, and send customer bills each month. The main thing that's changing is the source of the power. So beginning in April, customers will notice a line item for MCE electric generation charges on their utility bill. And what I want to make clear is that this is not an extra fee. MCE's electric generation simply replaces PG&E's electric generation charges. The benefit is that the customers get to enjoy the same reliable electric service they're used to, and now we'll have access to more renewable energy choices. As a public agency, MCE is governed by our board of directors who make decisions about the source and rates of electricity. MCE does not have shareholders, and because of this, the Fairfield community now has more local control over the decisions made about their electricity. Our board of directors is made up of 31 elected officials from across our service area, and here's a snapshot of our board members who represent our Solano communities, which of course includes Fairfield, represented by Councilmember Pandura. Transitioning a bit now to our enrollment timeline. As mentioned, the public process to bring MCE to Fairfield began in 2019. MCE gave 2 informational presentations to the City Council that year, and in December of 2019, the City Council adopted an ordinance authorizing the implementation of MCE. From there, MCE's board of directors voted in 2020, to include Fairfield as the newest MCE member community, and the California Public Utilities Commission certified the MCE implementation plan in 2021. And most recently, in November of 2021, the City Council nominated Councilmember Panduro to serve on the MCE board, with Councilmember Tonneson serving as the board alternate. We recognize that folks may have questions for MCE, and that's why we're rolling out a comprehensive community outreach and engagement plan over the next several weeks to reach as many Fairfield customers as possible. Some of the top questions we receive are, why was I automatically enrolled? How much will this cost? Among others. All of those questions and more can and will be addressed with the Fairfield community through a series of marketing materials and community town halls that MCE will conduct over the next several weeks. And before diving into our community outreach plan, I do want to address the cost component. We are anticipating that the average MCE residential customer in Fairfield will see about a 4% total bill discount relative to PG&E, which is roughly $8 a month less. And so highlighted here are some key dates to be aware of in anticipation of the April enrollment date. Beginning this week, hard copy notification mailers will be sent in both English and Spanish to all Fairfield customers. These mailers will inform customers of their transition to MCE service and will address a number of the top questions we typically receive. In total, all customers will receive 4 notifications from MCE over the next several weeks. If customers have an email address on file with PG&E, notices number 2 through 4 will be sent via email in an effort to save trees. Additionally, this week we launched our webpage specifically for Fairfield customers, which is mcecleanenergy.org/Fairfield, and began print advertisements in the Daily Republic, which include that web link. MCE is also planning to conduct a series of town hall style community presentations where customers can learn more about MCE and ask MCE staff any questions in real time. These meetings will be conducted over Zoom, and the first meeting is on March 9th. Customers will be enrolled with their April billing cycle, but our outreach and engagement activities will continue beyond that date. We do plan to host online community meetings through the month of May, and those dates will be published in the near future. And last but not least, there are a number of ways to get in touch with MCE. For general questions, customers can either email info@mcecleanenergy.org, which is monitored by our in-house customer care team, or call the number listed here to be connected with a member of our local call center. Additionally, if customers have requests for community presentations and programming, they can reach out to engagement@mcecleanenergy.org. So thank you, council members, for the chance to present here tonight. If my colleague Mariela is on and has been admitted as a panelist, I will turn it over her to conduct the presentation in Spanish, after which we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Khan? Saying none, we'll continue. Okay.
I'm sorry, what was her name? I need to put her as a panelist if she needs to speak.
I just got in. My name is Mariela.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Welcome aboard. We're glad to have you with us.
Thank you. Sebastian, next slide, please. Muchas gracias y saludos al concejal de la ciudad. Gracias por la oportunidad para presentar hoy. Mi nombre es Mariela Herrick y soy la gerente del desarrollo comunitario de MCE. MCE es una agencia pública local y sin fines de lucro. Ofrecemos servicios de generación eléctrica y programas para clientes en 37 comunidades de la área de la bahía. En diciembre de 2019, la ciudad de Fairfield votó para unirse al servicio de MCE y ahora, 2 años después, estamos encantados de inscribir la comunidad a MCE a partir de abril. Esta noche daré un repaso rápido sobre MCE y voy a explicar el cronograma de inscripción y lo que la comunidad puede esperar ver de MCE durante las próximas semanas. Next slide, please. A partir de abril de 2022, MCE se convierte en el principal proveedor de electricidad para la comunidad de Fairfield. Lo que significa para usted es que ahora tienen una opción cuando se trata de cuánta energía renovable desean para sus hogares y negocios a tarifas competitivas y estables. Next slide, please. A partir de su factura de abril, todos los clientes de electricidad elegibles de la comunidad de Fairfield se inscriben automáticamente en el servicio de MCE, que es 60% renovable. Esto es casi el doble de la energía renovable de PG&E a tarifas comparables. Para explicar un poco este proceso, cada mes en su factura los clientes pagan cargos de generación y cargos de la entrega de la energía. La generación, en pocas palabras, es la forma en que se crea la energía. Y la entrega de la energía es la forma en que esta energía viaja a través de la red hasta el cliente. Con el modelo de Community Choice, MCE se convierte en la fuente de generación de los clientes, suministrando energía a partir de fuentes limpias y renovables. PG&E sigue involucrado en este proceso. PG&E continúa a suministrar la electricidad desde la red hasta su hogar o negocio. Se hace cargo de los apagones y envía las facturas de los clientes cada mes, que incluye el servicio de generación de MCE. Lo principal que va a cambiar es la fuente de generación. A partir de abril, va a notar un cargo de generación de electricidad de MCE que reemplaza el cargo de generación de electricidad de PG&E. Y el cargo de MCE no es una tarifa adicional. El beneficio es que el cliente puede disfrutar el mismo servicio eléctrico y ahora tiene acceso a más opciones de energía renovable debido a la generación de MCE. Next slide, please. MCE es gobernado por nuestra junta directiva que toma decisiones sobre la fuente y las tarifas de la electricidad. MCE no tiene accionistas y debido a esto la comunidad de Fairfield ahora posee más control sobre las decisiones tomadas respecto a su servicio eléctrico. Nuestra junta directiva está compuesta por 31 personas que son todos funcionarios electos de las comunidades que servimos. En la imagen aparecen nuestros 4 miembros de la junta directiva de nuestras comunidades en el condado de Solano, que por supuesto incluye Fairfield representado por la consejera Panduro. Next slide, please. Ahora que tiene algunos detalles sobre MCE, me gustaría hablar sobre el proceso de inscripción a MCE. Next slide, please. El proceso público para tratar a MCE a Fairfield comenzó en el 2019. MCD dio 2 presentaciones informativas al Consejo de la Ciudad ese año y en diciembre del 2019 el Consejo adoptó una ordenanza que autoriza la implementación de MCE. A partir de ahí, la Junta Directiva de MCE votó en el 2020 para incluir a Fairfield como la comunidad más nueva de MCE. En 2021, la Comisión de Servicios Públicos del Estado de California certificó el plan de implementación que permitió a MCE obtener energía para su comunidad en Fairfield. Y en noviembre de 2021, el Consejo nominó a la consejera Panduro para representar a Fairfield y en la Junta de MCE, con el consejero Thompson funcionando como el alternativo de la Junta. Next slide, please. Reconocemos que los clientes tendrán series de preguntas para MCE y por eso es que estamos implementando un plan de la comunidad para comunicarnos con la mayoría de residentes y negocios en Fairfield. Les contestemos las preguntas como las que ven en la pantalla a través de una serie de oportunidades como materiales de publicación y juntas comunitarias que MCE llevará sobre las próximas semanas. Antes de comenzar la plan comunitaria, quiero abordar el tema de costos. Anticipamos que el cliente residencial de Fairfield verá un descuento total en la factura del 4% o como $8 al mes a relación con PG&E. Next slide, please. Aquí encuentra unas fechas importantes para la inscripción de abril. A partir de esta semana les enviaremos información por correo en inglés y en español a los clientes sobre su transición al servicio de MCE. Estos documentos incluyen las preguntas más frecuentes e incluyen información sobre los temas del costo y la inscripción automática. En total, todos los clientes reciben 4 notificaciones de MCE. Si los clientes tienen una dirección de correo electrónica registrada con su cuenta de PG&E, se enviarán las notificaciones 2 a 4 por correo. Es un esfuerzo para salvar los árboles. Esta semana lanzamos nuestra página de web para los clientes de Fairfield y últimamente esta semana comenzaremos a imprimir anuncios en el Daily Republic. MCE también llevará a cabo una serie de presentaciones comunitarias donde los clientes pueden obtener más información sobre MCE y hacer preguntas al personal de MCE en tiempo real. Estas juntas se llevarán a través de Zoom y la primera junta será el 9 de marzo. Se enviaron notificaciones por el correo esta semana, incluyendo información sobre estas juntas comunitarias y pueden acceder los enclaves de Zoom directamente en la página de web de MCE Fairfield. Los clientes se inscriben automáticamente a partir de su ciclo de factura de abril. Vamos a continuar organizando presentaciones comunitarias en línea durante el mes de mayo. Next slide, please. Hay varias formas para ponerse en contacto con MCE. Para preguntas generales pueden enviar un correo electrónico a info@mcecleanenergy.org, que es supervisado por nuestro equipo interno o puede llamar al número que está en la pantalla. Si la comunidad quisiera solicitar una presentación comunitaria, puede comunicarse con nuestro equipo en el enclave engagement@mcecleanenergy.org. Next slide, please. Gracias, miembros del Consejo, por la oportunidad de presentar hoy. Estamos felices y listos para contestar sus preguntas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We turn now to process for public comments. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Persons wishing to address the City Council on subjects not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the Council may do so at this time. The Council cannot discuss or take action on matters not on the agenda for this meeting, but Council members may briefly respond to statements made or questions raised by the public, ask for clarification from staff, refer the matter to staff, request staff to report back to the Council at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. To speak on an agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 on your phone. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes per item. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
Have Happy New Year, since I haven't spoken to you since last December. So real quick, I want to thank the council for a couple things. One, with Kat's comments on cancer and the proclamation, it's very dear to my heart, losing both my parents. Knowledge is power when it comes to cancer, and it's very important that if in doubt, get it checked out. So remember, knowledge is power. When in doubt, get it checked out. Go see your healthcare provider. And then I wanted to talk about Councilmember Tonneson's pickleball talk. And you know, last meeting when it was spoke in December, just before Christmas, the council directed Public Works to change four tennis courts to pickleball and redo 4 tennis courts. And to include us in a meeting, which we did have. I was very disappointed that it was about 40 minutes in length. I felt, did they use us, or I feel we were used in this situation. You know, I have not only my experience as a USA Pickleball Ambassador for Fairfield, I'm a tournament player. I have a database that includes world champions, national champions, senior champions that I reached out to and talked to about this when I was at a big tournament in Arizona in January. And I felt like everything we talked about that we asked for was it fell on deaf ears. And I was really, really disappointed, especially, you know, a year and a half ago now, you appointed me to the Budget Advisory Committee. And the committee elected me chairman. And the one purpose that you gave us was improving the transparency and accountability of the city fiscal information and decision-making. And when they gave this plan to us, it has a futsal court, which is fine, but that's not what the direction of the council was. And the fact that we're kind of poo-pooed, they showed 9 courts, 3 courts per. We recommended 4 courts per because that's a standard when you're.
George, please conclude.
Thank you. And then they were based in a east-west direction instead of a north-south direction. So east and west is where the sun rises and the sun shines. So I hope you relook at this, and I hope that you listen more to the pickleball community on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Council, Mayor, City Council, and staff, as well as members of City. Thank you for the presentation of MCE today. My name is Leo Callejas, President of the Solano Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I was happy to see the presentation from MCE, right, in English and Spanish, to make our community aware the changes that are coming up and that may impact them. I'm definitely looking forward to connect with MCE so that we can further spread the information to our local businesses so they are aware of how this will impact them. Thank you very much. Another note, I would like to extend an invitation to City Council here. Those interested in business policy, the California Hispanic Chamber is having a business policy summit coming up in March 15. So I invite you all to join us, right, Solano Hispanic Chamber, to attend this event, as we will be learning about business policies that will impact our businesses, or maybe coming in the legislation that will impact our businesses. So if you're interested in attending this event, joining me, please email me, president@solanohcc.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to call at this time now the meeting of the Fairfield Housing Authority to order, please. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
I was just asked to make sure no one online wanted to pull a comment or pull an item for consent. Okay, thank you.
Madam Clerk, if you would read the statement then, please.
Yes, sorry. I'm one step ahead of myself. The holding of a joint meeting of the City Council and Housing Authority entitles the council members to receive additional compensation of $35 for attending this joint meeting.
Okay. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Bertani?
Here.
Commissioner Moy?
Here.
Commissioner Panduro?
Here.
Commissioner Tim?
Here.
Commissioner Tonneson?
Here.
Vice Chair Vaccaro?
Here.
And Chairman Price.
Here. It's unanimous. Thank you.
And the Housing Authority consent calendar, all matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion unless a member of the authority or the public requests that separate action be taken on a specific item.
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor or Mr. Chair, can we at this point ask if anyone wants to pull any item off consent?
Yes. Yes, sorry about that. I was ahead of myself.
Okay.
Brian, are there any speakers wanting to speak on this, on the Housing Authority? For housing? Yes. Okay, thank you. So the Vice Mayor made a motion and I'm sorry, who seconded it?
I did,
Councilman Tim.
Thank you, and I'll take a roll.
Yes, please.
Or the vote. Commissioner Bertani?
Yes.
Commissioner Moy?
Yes.
Commissioner Panduro?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Tim?
Yes.
Commissioner Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Chair Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Chairman Price?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's unanimous. I will now call the reconvening of the meeting of the Fairfield City Council.
And again, on consent, all matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion unless a member of the City Council or the public requests that separate action be taken on a specific item.
Anyone online choosing to speak on this item? Seeing Brian, there are no. Okay.
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilman Tim. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Councilman Bertani, thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilmember Bertani?
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price?
Yes, it's unanimous. We now move to new business, if you would please, Madam Clerk.
Yes, item 14, first reading and introduction of ordinance 2022-04 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield, adopting the official council district map to establish boundaries for the City Council districts following the decennial federal census. And our presenter is Amber Alexander, our Deputy City Clerk.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The ordinance that we're introducing tonight will update the municipal code and formalize the boundaries of the new district lines on map 201 that you approved on January 18th. And I'm available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Any comments or questions for Amber? Seeing none, are there any requests to speak items on this? Any public speakers? Okay. Entertain a motion then to waive full reading and introduce ordinance 2022-04 for the first reading. Is there a motion to, Been moved by Councilman Tim. Is there a second, please? Mr. Vice Mayor, thank you. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Bertani?
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price?
Yes, it's unanimous. Thank you much. We then turn to item number 15, Interagency Water Delivery Agreement, please, Madam Clerk.
Item 15, request policy direction on a potential interagency water delivery agreement for the Middle Green Valley project. And our presenter again is Michael Heather, our Assistant Public Works Director of Utilities.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Fairfield City Council members. I'm Michael Heather, Assistant Public Works Director for the Public Works Utilities Division. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The item that I'm bringing before you this evening requires no action at this time. Rather, city staff seeks to bring this to your attention since a significant amount of time has passed since the last city council action. Tonight's agenda item consists of a brief presentation summarizing the Middle Green Valley project and opening of discussion for you all to provide direction to city staff regarding the county's formal request. So as I see it, tonight's presentation seeks to provide answers to three basic questions. First, I'll provide a basic description of the Middle Green Valley project since a significant amount of time has passed since your last action. Second, I'll summarize the previous request that was asked of the city. And finally, I'll describe the nature of the current request and highlight the major difference between what was asked for in 2012 and now. I'll conclude the presentation by opening discussion in order to request direction from you all. So the left-hand side contains a region map showing the plan area in the center with a blow-up of the specific plan area in the vicinity map on the right-hand side. The Middle Green Valley project is a proposed development in the unincorporated portion of Lower Green Valley in western Solano County and falls within a specific plan area designated by the county as the Middle Green Valley specific plan area. As you can see, it occupies a large area within the lower portion of Green Valley, spanning both sides of Green Valley Road, but a majority of the area occupies the west side of the Green Valley Road. This specific plan area is situated just north of the city's boundary near Vintage Valley, the lakes, and East Ridge. The southerly and easterly line happens to coincide with the city of Fairfield city limits, more or less, and Mason Road, which is about right here, which I referenced in the staff report, is just north of the city limits. It's also worth mentioning at this point that all of the basic project information that I described is referenced in the Middle Green Valley specific plan and amendments, which are published on the county's website. And I provide the link at the bottom in the staff report. So real briefly, the Middle Green Valley project designates approximately 1,900 acres of specific plan area within the western portion of Solano County. The project would consist of a mixture of land uses consisting of agriculture, residential, and conservation. Approximately 78% is designated as permanent open land, and of that 78%, 440 acres are intended to be used as agriculture. The remaining 22%, or approximately 415 acres, will be designated toward residential and community uses. Over the years, various water supply options were assessed as the plan area is situated within the Solano Irrigation District's water service area. But just as a reminder to everyone, the city's water supplies consist of Solano Project and State Water Project water. The city has historically taken a very conservative approach when it comes to water supplies and demands, which is reflected in both past and present adopted urban water management plans. In 2012, a resolution was adopted and in essence acknowledged that at that time, Solano County was preparing the Middle Green Valley specific plan and that Solano County may seek to acquire up to 190 acre feet of treated water to serve the project. As part of the same adopted resolution, the city certified a water supply assessment which verified that the city could make available enough water to sell to the county in order to supply the project all while meeting the city's own build-out needs. However, the resolution only verified that sufficient water existed at that time and was the first step among many in exploring viable options. Between 2012 and December of last year, the county had not yet made any formal request to the city. Fast forward to almost 10 years later, and as aspects of the project have changed through the passage of time, so has the nature of the request for water supply. In November 2021, the county, SID, and city staff met to discuss an impending formal request, but wanted to preface their request noting a change. In December 2021, the county made a formal request that called for the city to consider accept receiving raw water supplied by Solano Irrigation District for delivery to the project. The city would receive, treat, distribute, and sell back to SID as a customer. And under this current request, city water supplies would remain preserved. So this concludes my presentation, and I'll pause here to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions, colleagues, for Michael? Seeing none, are there any speakers online?
Thank you. Once again, this is the un-Maryland Farley. this is Dwayne Crown. I have no idea what's going on with their Zoom accounts. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. You received a letter probably late yesterday or perhaps this morning from the Solano County Orderly Growth Committee about this issue. We are strongly opposed to the city contemplating delivery of water to Miller Green Valley. As the letter points out, this is in contradiction to general plan policy, what is it, LU 3.1, which states that the city is prohibited from providing basic municipal services outside of the city limits or the urban limit line. So this language was adopted when Measure L was passed, and Measure L, as you well know, has not been renewed. However, the general plan language that was adopted is still in the general plan. So if the city desires to try to do this kind of deal with SID in the county, it's our opinion that the general plan would need to be amended, and that this would be a pretty significant amendment because it opens the city up to providing basic municipal services outside the city limits, which could have ramifications well beyond the Miller Green Valley project. So we would urge you to not do it. We don't think the city should be in the business of providing basic municipal services outside of the city. But if you do decide to do it, we would urge you to think about doing a general plan amendment, which also probably ought to be incorporated into the general plan update process. We recognize this will be time consuming, but it's an important policy. It's a very important policy. So again, we urge you to deny and direct staff to not enter into this discussion with the county and with SID. And if you decide to go that route, please consider amending your general plan. Thank you. If you have any questions?
Any comments or questions for Dwayne? Dwayne, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other speakers on this item, Madam Clerk?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes,
Okay,
we can hear you. Go ahead.
wonderful. Okay, I am going to echo what Dwayne said earlier. I'm very concerned. Here we are going through a general plan update where we as residents are struggling with this idea that a lot of city residences are going to be added, and we're worried about roads, schools, etc. And now the city is assisting a project in the county, which will also add further stress in our system. We just don't have the infrastructure to support all of this. And I am extremely opposed to the city doing this. If you do this, are you going to start offering this to Upper Green Valley? Are you going to start offering this to other county areas that are struggling with extremely high priced water that they're getting from the lake system? This is really a very slippery slope, and I hope you will do the right thing and deny this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Terry Schmidt-Bauer, I'm the Director of Resource Management with Solano County. And work closely, my department is working closely with the proponents for the Middle Green Valley project. And as you may be aware, this has been a long process with extensive public input and environmental review. And we're just now getting to that portion where we're starting to provide, look at how we provide services. And, I want to thank you for considering this tonight and just want to really state we look forward to working with the city and your staff on this, and hopefully you will provide direction to your staff to work forward, because that's all we're requesting tonight. Bill Emlin sent the letter, which is included in your staff report, requesting that the city enter into this kind of interagency collaborative to look into this, and we're prepared to do that. I did submit a letter today, and hopefully that will be passed on to you a little bit late, but going over the various provisions in the orderly growth, and why we feel that it is warranted for the city to consider treating the water provided by Solano Irrigation District. So with that, I won't take any more of your time. If you have any questions, I'm available to answer those, but this is a really important project to the county. We think it'll bring a really good vitality to the area, and really help allow residential growth and preserve the rural character and agriculture of the area too. It's going to be a hallmark project, and it's consistent with the county's general plan and the Middle Green Valley specific plan. So thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Are there any other public speakers?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. I want to correct something that Mr. Crom had said about the city providing basic municipal services. That is not the case. This is the SID service area, and they are legally can provide the water. And it's going to be SID water. All we're asking the city of Fairfield to do is treat the water. The water is going to be delivered by SID, it's going to be billed by SID, and it's going to be serviced by SID. And so it's, and the other, if you read the letter where he says that Middle Green Valley, they're not opposed to the plan. So what he says is that they're not opposed to the plan, but people that live in the unincorporated part of the county doesn't deserve clean, safe, reliable, and affordable water. That's what he's saying. And that has really been the Orly Grove's position for a long time, is that they treat the unincorporated citizens as second-class citizens. And, this is a plan that will really enhance the whole Fairfield area. I think this is a project that Fairfield's going to be very proud of. And it's something that the county has been working on for over 15 years. And this is a good solution to being able to preserve and have conservation in the area in perpetuity. And I certainly hope the city supports working with SID, the county, and the city of Fairfield to help deliver this project. Thank you, Mayor and some members of the council.
Thank you, Supervisor Spearing. Are there any other speakers on this item?
Good evening, Council. Yes, this is the real Marilyn Farley, not the other one, the imposter. Sorry about that. I just wanted to add my 2 cents. I've been involved in a lot of land use issues before and since my time on the Fairfield City Council. And I still believe in the principle that was enunciated by a former county planning director, Clayne Muck, many years ago, when he said, "What is urban shall be municipal." And what he meant by that was try to keep a separation between your cities and the county. It will add to your quality of life. And we have done that very well. In fact, Solano County is a leader in the state for keeping a separation between our cities and our rural areas. It's what's contributed to our quality of life. It's what's allowed the Suisun Valley to thrive. And I think when we start delivering municipal services outside our city boundaries, we're blurring that distinction. And it's not a good way for cities to go. I also wanted to point out, some of you may be familiar with the Wood Creek 66 project that was proposed for an area out by Rockville Corners. That project was also trying to get municipal services. And the Solano County Orderly Growth Committee did file a lawsuit about that. And that lawsuit was settled, and it found that the delivery of water, even if it's water provided by SID and treated by the county, was or treated by the city of Fairfield, was a violation of the language in Measure L, which is also in the city's general plan. And the Orderly Growth Committee did send a letter today to that effect. So there is a precedent that providing water in this manner would be a violation of the current general plan. So I'm hoping that you will think seriously about this. I believe it would take LAFCO, it would take a change to the general plan, it would take full CEQA to make a change of this magnitude. Believe me, this is a big change. This is not something that I believe is in the interest of the citizens in Fairfield. It's in the interest, yes, of the developer. And the project, we agree, it was approved correctly in the county. We supported that. At the time that was done, there was no identification of where the water would come from. And they are still looking for water. They have explored many alternatives.
Yeah, please conclude, Marilyn.
You're the ones that are their savior.
Thank you. And bring it back to council action for discussion, direction. Oh, we do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I wasn't planning to speak tonight, but there are a couple of things I think that have been brought up that I should raise. I'm one of the landowners and developers in the Middle Green Valley Specific Plan and worked on the plan and the county general plan and also the city general plan. There's nothing inconsistent with the city's general plan regarding providing water, treated water, or a treatment of SID's water to the project. The project itself underwent CEQA review. This was one of the options that was included in the CEQA review. It cleared CEQA, it passed, and the time for CEQA challenges is gone. Secondly, the city can, through city council vote, extend services, extend this agreement to treat water outside its boundary. The Orderly Growth folks say exactly that. On their website, they acknowledge that after the September 2020 ordinance passed by the city council can vote to provide treated water outside its boundaries. So the Orderly Growth folks who are here tonight are testifying against exactly the thing they say is allowed on their website. This plan was developed to be a model project for the urban edge. How do you deal with an edge between a city before you get into rural areas? It's been written up in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, numerous other publications. In order to do that, the homes have to be concentrated on smaller lots. They can't have wells. City of Fairfield water, SID water treated by Fairfield is really one of the only viable economic options to make the project fly. And we would encourage you to approve going forward with this with the city and the NSID. And I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, any other speakers?
Good evening, Amanda Monchamp. I'm here. I have worked on the Middle Green Valley project for a very long time, and I just want to echo, I'm the land use attorney for that project. I just want to echo what Mr. Russo just said. I think he covered it. I just want to offer that I'm here. I litigated both this case, which went through its own series of litigation, as well as the Wood Creek case. And to the extent there are any questions, I just want to offer that I'm here tonight if there's anything that needs to be addressed. But I know the City of Fairfield City Attorney is here, and Mr. Lim can speak to all these issues. I just wanted to concur with Anthony and offer, if anything comes up, I'm happy to speak to it.
Thank you, Amanda. Are there any other public speakers? Okay, so I'll bring it back to council, and we're being asked to provide some direction. Comments, council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Tim, please.
Thank you. I actually have questions for our city attorney, and I just listened to Ms. Monchamp. But I would like to know the city attorney's take on this, just for the record, and where our city stands with this.
Sure, council member, and thank you for the question. So generally, I gave you some legal advice under attorney-client privileged communications because of the complexity of this issue and the issues raised by the Orderly Growth Committee for Solano County. But I'll restate it here. Obviously the council is going to be the one that will make the final determination as to the interpretation of the general plan, specifically section 3.1. But it's our opinion that we side with Solano County that the current use proposed for the treatment of water and then sending it back to SID does not count as a basic municipal service. Because basically the service provider would be SID, the Solano Irrigation District. And so in this case, the city would be acting as a water treatment provider, but in terms of distribution of the water, billing, overseeing the metering rates for the water, it would be SID and not the city of Fairfield. So we don't think it meets the definition, even in the most conservative sense, of a basic municipal service. I would also mention that in discussing the Wood Creek Homes case, I know that the Solano County Orderly Growth Committee made the statement that that decision basically said that, let me find my notes, that providing treated water through SID was a violation of Measure C and was an improper providing of basic municipal services. That's not our reading of the court's decision in Wood Creek. Again, obviously, the council will make its determination as to what they think of that ruling, but our analysis of that is that the decision in that was a writ of prohibition against the county, and the court's basis for granting the writ and denying that project was not based on saying that Measure L or any law prohibited the providing of water services. It's just that the county did not conduct a proper EIR analysis. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds there, so I'll leave it at that. If you want to ask follow-up questions, I'm happy to go into that further. But basically, it was a procedural defect that the court ruled on in the writ in that matter, and not a final finding that there was any illegality or prohibition against a city or this city providing water services of the type envisioned here. So if you have other further questions or follow-ups, I'm happy to answer those questions.
No, you answered. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments, colleagues? Councilwoman Moy, please. You're muted, Catherine.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few questions. I am a little bit confused about, and I know we'll get into this, I guess, later when we're going to set prices and so on. But I just heard the city attorney say that billing and all that's going to happen from SID. So I think it's very confusing. You cannot have water, potable water, without city services. That's just logic. That's what they're asking for. Is it a basic municipal service? I don't know. I guess the courts would figure that out once we're sued if we are. But my concern is I'm hearing different stories about this. So maybe the city manager can help me here for a minute. Are we going to be billing, or is SID going to be billing if we go through with this?
SID would be billing customers in Middle Green Valley.
Okay. And who's going to set the price?
SID could set the price to their customers. We would negotiate a price with SID in effect for accepting their raw water, treating it, and then providing it back to them. So our efforts of treating that water and providing it back to SID as treated water is what we are seeking discussion and direction from council on whether or not you want us to go negotiate that agreement and what that pricing would look like.
Okay, that helps a little bit. What I'm wondering is when we bill our city residents, because that's what we do here, do we include the treatment as part of that service?
Yes. That's wrapped up into the treatment.
So in that case, it's a basic municipal, right? Yes.
Well, are you asking? I think my question, just to clarify, would be: are you asking what is the definition of basic municipal service?
Oh, I can figure that out. What I'm saying is, right now, the way we're set up is the charge for fixing the water so it's potable, whether we get it from the state project or from Lake Berryessa. Is that part of a basic municipal operation? Is that part of it?
Treating the water is one part of our rate structure for water.
Okay. But legally, Mr. City Attorney, it's not a part of municipal. I'm confused. How can it be both ways?
This is what is famously called in the law gray area. And I don't mean gray water. There is no case law on point that decides it. It's up to the sound discretion of you as the decision makers to decide how to interpret the general plan law and then the language. We looked specifically for something on point to give you guidance, and there is nothing. So it really is your sound discretion. And I think, as I mentioned, that's kind of where it is.
Okay, so like for me, it sounds like since we charge our citizens who've also paid for the facilities, except for what we share with Vacaville, our citizens have borne those costs for all of these years. That is a basic municipal service. I see it that way, but obviously people can have different opinions about that. The other question that I have, I hope that Michael maybe can answer for me. So how many acre feet are we talking about cleaning up for SID and for the Middle Green Valley houses?
Well, some of the numbers that I looked at from previous resos and studies had it at about 190 to a couple hundred acre feet.
190. And how much right now do we take every year just from Lake Berryessa? How much do we use, the city itself?
Oh, thousands of acre feet. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but we use tens of thousands of acre feet.
Right.
From either Solano project or state water. But in this specific case, when we're talking about having SID supply water for us to treat, we're only talking about Solano project water. Because
I know that.
Yeah, SID doesn't have access to state water.
Yes, that's why I asked about that, the Lake Berryessa. As a reporter, I used to cover SQUA and everything else that had to do with water. So I'm somewhat of I know quite a bit about it. Okay, well that makes sense. Now that because 190 acre feet.
More or less. I mean, that's one of the numbers I saw it's that number I think is in the exhibit in the last water assessment.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I believe the 190 feet comes from the 2012 memo that was provided in your agenda packet.
Right.
And I believe that in terms of the conversation we had with county and SID back in, Michael, what was that? Was that in November when we originally met with them?
Yes, right. Right in the end of November.
Yeah. I just from my notes from that meeting, I had down 135 acre feet of water supply to treat was what they were talking about at that point. So I think it's reasonably safe to assume somewhere around 135 to, as Michael said, 190 to 200 acre feet.
Michael, could you explain to citizens who are listening what 1 acre foot does for what can it serve? 1 acre foot.
Sure. Just to give it some perspective on what an acre foot is, that's 1 foot of water across an entire acre of land. And it's about 325,851 gallons, not about, that's the conversion. And depending on the households, it's enough to supply 1 acre foot supplies a few households a year.
And for a year. All right, thank you. I just wanted people to understand because that's who we're talking to here. And an acre foot doesn't mean a lot to most people, probably. So it is a lot of water, not in our bigger picture of things. However, I do recall in very severe droughts, farmers were giving up their water here in Solano County so cities could get more water. I covered that as a reporter as well. So I do want my colleagues to think about that too. We are talking about farm water, SID, and then as but overall we have to think about our farms and our citizens. And what's most important are the people who live and work in the city of Fairfield. So that's what I'm looking at right here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments giving directions to staff on where we go from here? Councilwoman Bertani, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm looking for some common ground. And I guess my question is whether the county/SID and the Orderly Growth Committee have had an opportunity to sit down and explore any common ground, if any, there is in this very important issue to inform the city council's perspective on, how we view this matter. Has that happened? Mr. City Manager or Mr. City Attorney?
I would look to Terry Schmidhauer with the county in answer of that question, or Schmidbauer, on what those discussions were. Based on our conversations with county staff, this was something that is, they have had conversations.
Okay.
And that Orderly Growth as they even state in their letter to us, supports this project. It's at this point in time, 5 o'clock last night that we received a letter where they dispute our treating the water on behalf of SID for this project that they otherwise support. Now, whether or not between 5 o'clock last night and now, or just prior to that, they had any conversations, that I can't speak to.
Is Terry still online?
Yeah, between the letter and today, no, we have not had any input with the Orderly Growth Committee. I think you'd have to look at their position on the project and the treatment in general, but and we are at diverse interpretations, obviously, of what is happening and the use of the treatment facilities at Fairfield to treat the SID water.
Terry, do you think that, in light of the relatively, recent communications that have come into play, that it would be of any value to have more conversation with the Orderly Growth Committee, just in terms of, conversation? Because sometimes things can happen in a room with, without all of the fanfare of a city council meeting or whatever, and like minds and wise minds and folks who want to get a job done can come to some kind of possible resolution. Do you think that would have any value?
Well, I'm always open to talking. I'm just not sure that in this particular case, I think they pretty much spelled out their position. We can talk in terms of, well, I won't go into much more than that. I mean, if we can outreach to them, but the county's position is that this is basically SID water. It's going to, SID does have treatment plants out in the unincorporated area too. It's just that this is a very convenient, efficient way to do it since the facilities are there. It's beneficial to both the county, the applicant for the tentative map, and the city, actually, because you get revenue from treating the water. It's just a service. So that's really all it is taking water from one provider and treating it at a place that has capacity to do so and moving it to the county. I'm not sure additional. I'm not sure additional talking will bring the orderly growth over to our side, and the county has explored multiple options through the environmental review process, and this is really the most, like Mr. Russo said, this is really the most efficient method at this time.
Okay, well, you're looking for council, we're looking for council direction this evening. And so that would be my advice for direction. I mean, there have been communications, there have been, exchanges since the last conversations, and I don't think another conversation would hurt anything or anyone involved. And so that would be my direction, to try to look for some common ground as the city council, come to a place where we have to make a final decision. I just think that information is knowledge, and conversations can be helpful. So that's my guidance, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor, you were going to make a comment, please.
Yeah, and out of respect for everyone's opinion here, I think we're kind of to the point now. I mean, this project's been going on a long time. And I think, as Terry had said earlier, I think everyone's opinion has pretty much been stated. And I really don't think any other conversation is going to change that. I do want to thank the people from the county who came out and talked about, how long these conversations have been going on. I respect the fact that Early Growth has their opinion. I don't agree with the opinion. I think that, right now, as of September 2020, I mean, we do have a resolution where we can, the council as a majority can vote to extend the services outside. So I know legally, am I right, Mr. City Attorney, we can do that? Okay. Yes. So, I mean, that would be my direction. I think that, and Pam, you know, I respect your opinion. I just think that at this point, you know, we have to make a decision because this has been going on quite a long time. And I don't think any more talking is going to change anyone's mind. So my direction would be to just to go and work with the county and work with Middle Green Valley and SID. So that's my direction.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Councilman Tim, please.
Yeah, thank you. And I share the same concerns. Probably back in 2007, I was on the Susan Valley Fund Advisory Board, and this started to come out. But more importantly, the county, we talk about wanting to make partnerships, and the county wants to make a partnership with us, and it's over a water issue. This arises out of the general plan for the county, and then a specific plan inside the general plan. Orderly growth didn't have a problem with the project, I guess. But then think back a couple of years ago when we had the vicious fights over sewer and what we were going to do with the sewer services. And the Vice Mayor, Rick Vaccaro, said at the time, what separates us from a third world country is we put our sewer into a pipe, not into the ground. Now we are looking for water. And again, it's an approved project, but now we're fighting over water. And to Councilwoman Moy's concern is that it's my understanding we're just going to enter into an agreement with the county to start negotiating things. And part of that negotiation, I would assume, would be how much the city of Fairfield is going to charge SID to treat that water. I see Mr. Gasaway shaking his head up and down. This isn't over by any stretch. It's my understanding we're going to enter into an agreement to try and figure out how we are going to, A, do it. Well, we know how to do it mechanically, but B, how much we're going to charge for that. These wars have been going on now, and I classify it as a war for the last 20, 25 years. So again, the county has requested it. We're in a partnership with the county. All we want to do is treat their water, and what SID does with it and where they charge it, people can say it's an end around, but we're not providing services. We're just cleaning their water. So I want to move forward with this. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilwoman Panduro, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So I know being, new on here, and I know this project has been going on for quite some time before my time. So I appreciate everyone that I've talked to just to give me history on this and just trying to learn, all the backgrounds. I understand that it's been here for a while. My question is if we do decide to negotiate or with terms into an agreement with SID, does that violate Measure L in any way? Does that?
Mr. City Attorney, please.
So Measure L expired at the end of last year. So Measure L is no longer on the table.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted, because I know that's been brought up a couple of times, and so I just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments, colleagues? Councilman Tonneson, please.
Yes, this has been a long time coming, and I've listened to all the comments. Again, like Doris, I'm fairly new to this, so I haven't been in this war for many, many years, but I like the project and I would be in favor of moving forward with this. Thank you.
Okay. And I would like to share my comment, my observation as well. I think we need to give direction to move ahead and to see how this all works out. The time for talking has pretty much come to an end. There are no new facts that I think we're ever going to be able to discover. So is yours a motion, Scott? A motion to move forward and give direction?
Sure, I would make that motion to move forward and give direction to start negotiations with.
I second it.
Okay. Been seconded by the Vice Mayor. Roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Birch.
Yes.
Hey, Karen, you're freezing up on us here.
David, you can take the roll, can't you?
Yeah, I can do that. Councilwoman Bertani.
Make it for me.
Hello?
Karen, do we have you back?
I think she's still frozen.
Yeah, she's still freezing.
She's freezing.
We can see you, but you're freezing in and out, Karen. So just in an effort to move forward, Councilwoman Bertani?
Yes.
I don't know the order she normally does it in. Councilwoman Moy?
Because this would be sending water, which is a basic service, and I think it violates what we have in our general plan. The answer is no.
Okay. All right. Councilwoman Panduro?
Yes.
Councilman Tonneson?
Aye.
Councilman Tim?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price?
Yes. Motion carries 6-1. Thank you.
Mayor Price, I can take over for Karen.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
So if you'd like me to move on to number 16.
Yes, please.
All right. Resolution 2022-30 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield, authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement between the City of Fairfield and J. Stokes Agency to implement the branding and marketing component of the Economic Development Strategic Plan. And I will bring in Dwayne Dahlman.
Okay. Is Dwayne? Yes, here. Dwayne, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Let me pull up the presentation here. Okay, can everyone hear me and see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Dwayne Dahlman. I'm the Economic Development Manager for the city. Today we're here to pass a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement between the City of Fairfield and J. Stokes Agency to implement the branding and marketing component of the Economic Development Strategic Plan. So just as some background, the City Council adopted the Economic Development Strategic Plan in June of 2021. The plan was specifically designed to not be a broad-based plan. We wanted something that incorporated specific actions, and that's what the plan did. These specific actions are roadmaps, actually, for us to follow. And there are 3 roadmaps. The first is the heart of Fairfield, downtown. The second is the business and industrial parks in Fairfield. And third is an overall city marketing and business attraction. Now, when the strategic plan was approved, a budget amount of over $2.8 million was approved that as an estimate to complete all of these roadmaps at that time. So I want to go into the specific roadmaps. The first is the heart of Fairfield. And playing off our existing strengths that we already have with a wide variety of restaurants in our downtown theater, this map is about transforming our downtown into a destination branded Fairfield's Food and Arts District. The second roadmap is for our business and industrial parks. So in the past, we've always marketed Fairfield as the message has been Fairfield's located halfway between the Bay Area and Sacramento. But what we really want to do with this is promote our business parks as the North Bay's emerging business and industrial hub. And that plays off, we're not just halfway between these two areas, we are part of the greater Bay Area North Bay. And that is an emerging place for businesses to locate here in Fairfield. And then the last roadmap is our marketing business attraction roadmap. And that's citywide. So it's a multifaceted marketing strategy to really support those 2 new identities for not only the city, but also for our downtown and our industrial parks. When the strategic plan was approved, we estimated these are the overall citywide benefits that we would receive. And that's job creation, it's sales tax generation, local taxes, altogether estimated a total economic impact of over $200 million when these roadmaps are implemented. So staff looked at what we had internally in both our economic development department as well as in our marketing outreach department, and realized that we really didn't have the existing staff or the bandwidth to be able to implement all the tasks associated with this. So we went out and went through an RFP process. We received RFP responses from 5 firms. We interviewed those firms and came up with the one we thought best fit our needs, and that was J. Stokes Agency. And that's what we're here for this evening. So a little bit about J. Stokes. They have over 40 years of branding and marketing experience. They've been involved with a variety of projects throughout the greater Bay Area. That was important to us because that's the area that we're concentrating on. They've also been involved with a number of public and private sector projects. What we were really interested in was their work that they've done with 2 cities of Livermore and Richmond. And that work was very similar to the branding and marketing efforts that we're looking forward to them to do. They're also involved in projects with both Bishop Ranch and Hacienda Business Parks. These are both very high profile business parks in the greater Bay Area. And the work there is particularly important to us because that experience working in those industrial parks really gave them an understanding that we needed on the type of real estate that we're looking for attracting. It gave them experience in the brokerage community, as well as working with site selectors and developers. So we thought by far J. Stokes had the most experience, and particularly in those key areas that we were looking for. And that's why we wanted to select them as the person that we would work with. So now I want to walk through the different scopes of work in these 3 different roadmaps. So for the Heart of Fairfield, the first goal is to transform our Heart of Fairfield into a unique destination. We talked about we want to position the Heart of Fairfield as a food and arts district. We also want to initiate priority projects to look at which projects are going to have the most impact in our downtown and initiate those projects as part of this process. The next goal is to fill vacancies, diversify our business mix, and create economic vitality in the downtown. In order to do this, we want to engage with our brokers and developers. We want to keep and grow the critical business anchors that we already have in downtown, as well as attract new businesses. And we want to capitalize on the entrepreneurship that we already have. Essentially, our downtown is made up of small businesses, and it's the entrepreneurship of starting those small businesses and running those businesses that we want to foster and capitalize on for future investment. So we talked about the work that we want to do. For each of these roadmaps, I also want to discuss the benefits. And for the Heart of Fairfield, it's really summed up by the first one. We want to have visible, tangible, and positive changes in our downtown. We feel that the increased public dollars, our investment that we're going to make in the downtown, is going to spur further private investment. All this leading to new businesses, new investment, and new activity in our downtown. The last budget point points out the budget that's set aside for this specific roadmap for year 1 and year 2. And now I want to go into the scope of work for our business parks. And the first goal is what we talked about, to reposition Fairfield from the old message of halfway between to the new message of the North Bay's emerging business and industry hub. So in order to do that, we need to create a broader awareness of Fairfield's overall market position, and that we're not just halfway in between, but our proximity to the Bay Area, and that we are the emerging place to locate. We have the land, we have the infrastructure, we have the benefits to locate the businesses in our industrial parks. The next goal is to build a stronger partnership relationship with our industrial and commercial and office brokers. So this is the asset that we already have. These are the brokers that are working out there in the community. We want to work with them, leverage that asset. In order to accomplish our goals, we have to have stronger relationships with them. And then lastly, build a pipeline of leads and prospects. So all of this marketing and sales effort geared towards decision makers, site selectors, brokers, and targeted businesses, it's all designed to build that pipeline. And from that pipeline, then we will be able to generate new businesses and new investment in our industrial parks. So I've talked about kind of the overall goals and strategies. I wanted to have a slide here to give a more detailed example of specific tasks. There's over 35 overall tasks that go along with these goals and strategies in these 3 roadmaps. We didn't want to do a slide, which we could have done on every single task. So I wanted to give this one as an example of that, so you can see the overall work that's involved, the hours that are involved, the price that's involved to perform some of these tasks. This one's specifically on creating that broader awareness in our business parks of Fairfield's marketing position. So first is developing this positioning theme and brand story. It involves coming up with, okay, what is the overall message and architecture for that? As far as our outreach is concerned, we're going to be advertising on billboards and designing those type of ads. We're going to be creating awareness ads about Fairfield's market and this emerging place in different periodicals. We're specifically doing a multi-page business insert, and so the hours that are involved with putting that together. And then planning the overall media. So how does this all fit together, and making sure that all these messages tie together with what we're trying to accomplish. And then lastly, we talked about the brokers and the site selectors, but 6 times a year creating these messages and sending these messages out. So I wanted to give this as an example of the work that's involved in just one specific task in one of these roadmaps. Then when we talk about the benefits of what we're getting from this work in the business and industrial parks, I think the key word here is collaboration. So the benefit is collaborating with these brokers and our partners and the manufacturing companies that we already have here. We're going to use our HubSpot, which is a customer relations management platform, and that's going to help us track and measure the work that we're doing. All of it is geared towards increasing the pipeline of leads and prospects that we're identifying, and that those are the people that we're targeting to locate their new businesses and their new investment in our business and industrial parks. And then the last line then has the cost associated in both year 1 and year 2 for the roadmap for the business and industrial parks. And lastly, I want to talk about the scope of work for the overall citywide marketing business attraction. So the first goal is to just increase those new positioning identities. So we want to manage the new Fairfield marketing message as a brand, and that's tying into all of our roadmaps. And then the goal of creating a new identity specifically for the heart of Fairfield. And we talked about, we want to position the heart of Fairfield as a food and arts district in order to attract new investment and businesses in our downtown. So the benefits of the overall city marketing and business attraction, it's really to increase awareness and collaboration. So with those two, the goal is that's going to lead to more inquiries, more people that we can target to bring new businesses investment to both our business parks and our downtown with the new overall message of Fairfield. And then there's the budget associated in year 1 and year 2 with that. I mean, overall, this work is really about transforming the overall identity of our community as a location for new business and investment. It's all geared towards increasing the marketing and branding. That's geared towards increasing the pipeline of leads. The larger pipeline we have, then the more opportunity we have for increased investment. And then getting down to the bottom line, that investment is what leads to higher property taxes, higher sales tax, more local jobs, stronger economy, and then overall better quality of life for our community. So this last slide goes into the overall contract budget. So we talked about, you've seen the budget for the individual roadmaps. In addition, there's a contingency that's built in, as well as the cost for Jay Stokes Agency to manage this account and manage all of these projects. In addition to the contract with Jay Stokes, there's also budget money set aside. So when we talk about these actual ads that we're placing in the different media, here's the budget that's allocated for that, to place those ads and also to print up all of this material. So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have Dan Stokes, who's the head of Jay Stokes Agencies. He can come in also and be able to answer any questions that you may have between him and I. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Any comments or questions, colleagues? Mr. Vice Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so Heart of Fairfield plan. Let me see. I want to say about 3 years ago or 4 years ago, we had an update. Year after, we had an update. Year after that, we had an update. Not much going on. Okay. Dwayne, thank you for that presentation, because I'm feeling some hope now, that things are going to get rolling. I've probably been the biggest critic of the Heart of Fairfield plan because I didn't see anything happening for the longest time. And my opinion was like, why come back to us with an update when there's no new business or no new news? But, you had a very comprehensive presentation. And so thank you for that. What I really don't want to see is a year from now, we're here and we're still in the same exact spot we were here, a year ago. And I'm pretty confident, I have confidence in the staff here that that's not going to be the case, for the first time in a while, because I really do think, as a council person for the last 13 years, I was getting frustrated because, all of us hear stuff from people. Hey, what's going on with our downtown? What's happening? Restaurants, businesses, whatever. But it sounds like I'm hoping that Stokes Company, that they, will follow through with all this. And it sounds like you're pretty confident. Am I right? And David, you too? So, yeah, I feel a lot better. And I'm not frustrated about what's happened in the past because I'm sort of over that. But I really want to look more toward the future and see how, we can celebrate our downtown, our diversity in the city, bringing all that together and, making the downtown what it really can be. And not only the downtown, the whole city of Fairfield. We all love our city. So thank you for the presentation. And I'm hopeful, very, very hopeful. So thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Well said. Other comments, colleagues? Councilman Tonneson, please.
Yes, Dwayne, thank you for that presentation. This is a good thing. Since I've been on council, I am the downtown rep, and I've been telling people change isn't coming, change is here. And this is what I'm seeing, change. This is what change looks like. And David, you said that when I asked you point blank, are you going to do this? And you said yes. And I am over the top excited. Change is here, and I'm looking forward to seeing this to fruition. And thank you, Dwayne. That was a great presentation.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? Do we have any public speakers interested in this item this evening? Okay, I think it might be good, council, for us to have Dan Stokes introduce himself so we get to know him too, please. Dwayne, well done.
Thank you.
Mr. Stokes?
Hello, everyone. Mr. Mayor, council members, pleasure to be with you here tonight. We're really excited about executing this strategic plan roadmap system you have here. A very well-designed plan. We've seen a lot of these in the past, and we're very excited about the work that's been done that's preceded us in the development of this plan. And so our role is really to execute and bring this thing to life and interpret it. And And what is exciting for me, this is probably some of the most rewarding kind of work we get to do as marketing consultants, because it has such a lasting impact and such a tangible impact. It's not just a TV spot or a digital ad. This is something that lives with the community for years. And I'll give you an example of Livermore. When I first took on the assignment of developing a strategic plan and executing a new brand for the city of Livermore, the downtown, did not look so great. It was pretty vacant. And after that plan was executed and some years passed, you can see a very vibrant downtown. You can see the branding at work. It's a happening place now. And so that's the kind of thing that I think you can look forward to in Fairfield, is that, this can very much come to life. You've got all the building blocks, you've got the desire, you've got funding. And so we really want to be the wind at your back.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other comments, colleagues? Entertain a motion then to approve the resolution, please. Madam Clerk, if you would read the resolution, and we'll take action right now. It's resolution 2022-30, please.
Authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement between the city of Fairfield and J. Stokes Agency to implement the branding and marketing component of the economic development strategic plan.
I would proudly make that motion.
Okay, is there a second, please? Councilman Tim, been moved by, okay. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk, please.
Councilmember Bertoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price?
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. There is no other business before this body. We are adjourned until our next regularly scheduled meeting on Tuesday, March 1st. Thank you very much.